But what I bought and what I decided to finally dive into, because it's been hovering in the back of my brain for months and months and months, close to 10 now, is Sifu. This is a game I thought I didn't play because it came out during Elden Ring's time. This game came out before Elden Ring, it turns out. I think I was playing Arceus at the time, which is why I didn't pick up Sifu, and then Elden Ring, and then it was the middle of the year, and then. My experience with this game post playing it was listening mostly to the Kind of Funny Games cast about it, the review, which was Tim and Andy and Blessing all really liking it at different levels of competency, where Tim was like, I put by far the most amount of hours into this out of anyone and have the least amount of progress. Like, he was just kind of banging his head against the wall, but he just wanted to get better. And then Timur from GameSpot Giant Bomb was there, and he was saying how he was struggling with it, and he was really struggling to get into it. He felt like it was like a worse done Sekiro, because it has similar systems that weren't quite as good. So that was my experience going into it. And I was playing this game yesterday, and I started getting I'm playing it, and I'm like, oh, these are some really technical inputs. Like, if you don't know, Sifu is, I think I said Sekiro. Sifu is it's kind of like a kung fu revenge tale. This group of people kill your dad, who's a kung fu master, martial arts master, and they kill you, but you're holding onto this relic, and it brings you back to life, and you train, and you're finally ready at the age of 20 to go and avenge your father. And you've also got this relic that can bring you back to life. And the more you die, the relic continues to bring you back to life, but you age like a year, and then you age like, if you die again, you age like 2 years. And if you die again, you age like 3 years. So you go from 21 to 23 to 26 to all of a sudden you're in your 40s, and you don't have as much health. And if you get to the age of 70, that your relic breaks, and the next time you die, you're fully dead. But it's kind of like a single player classic fighting game. It's kind of like if they turned Street Fighter into a narrative experience.
Careful.
In some way.
Careful.
What? That sounds too appealing, or?
Oh, it sounds like the reason everybody is angry at the Game Awards for
Sifu. Oh yeah, no, it shouldn't be in there, because that's not what fighting games are.
Yeah.
But I do think it is the best equivalent to quickly understand what the gameplay is like.
Right.
It's, you're immediately learning like stick movement combos. So there's like a palm strike, which pushes people back, and like a leg sweep, which knocks opponents down. And they're a core part of your movement set. It's what you need to use. Like, you don't have to unlock those moves. You just have them. And you have to press up, down, and then the input, square or triangle, to do either one. And learning that took some time. It took me a bit. It's some quarter circle nonsense. So I go through, and I'm getting my butt handed to me, but I get through the whole first level okay, and it's really cinematic, and like, it's a really great art style, which carries it forward in the moments where it doesn't have the best execution. Like, some parts are really low poly or pretty low detail textures, but the direction really carries it. And I'm playing more, and I get to the second level, and I actually just get my shit kicked in, and I die. And I'm like, okay, so maybe I should go back, so I'm in a better spot by the start of the next level, so I've got more age meter, because it's like, there's 5 levels, and the youngest age you are when you get to a level is the youngest age where you can start that level. So if you use all of your many lives getting through the second level, and you can only start the third level at age 75, you have no deaths left to get through the next 3 levels, which are incrementally harder.
Yeah,
so
right.
It becomes about needing to perfect the second level so that you can get through it with more buffer, with more age left in the tank, so you can then suffer some deaths in the learning process of levels 3, 4, and 5. So it's kind of a roguelike in that sense, but like, it's not different every time. So then it's kind of more like Outer Wilds or Deathloop, where they're asking you to get a more perfect run. They start to demand a perfectionism mindset. And
is it the same enemies doing the same attacks every time?
not the same attacks every. Well, that's hard to. They've got the same move sets.
Okay.
But it's not like I know they're gonna do left right kick every time. Like they will do different things. They will group up on you in different ways. It is more dynamic.
So it's like not like Super Hot where it's like no, like this is gonna be this next.
No, not like Super Hot. It's like you walk into a room and then it's how they interact. Like you could start the fight by throwing a bottle or throwing whatever weapon you're holding, and that could one of them will be stunned earlier, and so they'll interact differently. So you're not dealing with two of them at once or four of them at once.
But is it like I beat up these two guys and I know in the next room there's three guys, but one's around the corner?
It is definitely like that. Yes, it is like that.
Yeah, right. So you like it's similar to like maybe like a Hotline Miami then.
Yeah, kind of like Hotline Miami. I'd say it's a bit more dynamic than that because Hotline is very kill or be killed within like fractions of a second.
Sure.
Because it's not quite as fast. It gives you more room to do different things, and it gives the enemies more room to do different things. But that is a good equivalent. Jeremy's just drunk far too much water.
Spilt water all over myself. Continue.
So I'm starting to feel some friction, and I'm like, I'll just try and do it better. And so I start running through the first level of the room again. And this room that when I was going through my first time, I kind of muddled through and I didn't die in once. All of a sudden I die in it 3 times in a row.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, fuck. This isn't the run. I can't go through with this because this is going to put me in a bad spot. The whole point of me going back is to get to the end better, is to be more perfect, is to have done it better. And I was like, did I grasp it more since then? And so where it asks for perfectionism from you, I start to get annoyed because I can't reliably get I feel like I can't learn the enemies because their tells for their attacks are so fast.
Right.
Like faster than Sekiro, I would say. They're so fast that it's hard to tell what's going to happen. All of a sudden you can get comboed. The enemies can attack you at the same time, which is like in theory is like that solves the Arkham problem, right? Where they all wait their turn. But then it leads to scenarios where it's like you get hit by a bat, you get stunned, punched in the head, hit by the bat again, you get knocked over, you can't get up in time, you get hit by the bat, you're dead. That's all of your health gone in like 3 seconds. I was like, well, fuck, man. And so that perfectionism they demand from you, I feel like I can't reliably give it to them. And yeah, it's those instances where I'm acing rooms and then I get slaughtered by them the next time is really frustrating. They've also got some really annoying unlocks where like there are like 3 totems in it. Do you need to check the cat?
No, like sorry, I keep looking behind me. I am listening. There's the cat. She's in a mood. And she keeps almost like pulling a lamp off a table, but also like the lamp is very sturdy and also not plugged in, and so I'm kind of just waiting for her to learn her lesson.
Right.
In a safe experience of like, hey, don't fuck with that lamp.
Yeah.
Because she keeps like grabbing the power cable and like the cable and just like whacking it. I'm like, don't you dare! I mean, like,
kid, you can't do that.
Like you will learn, but like this lamp isn't plugged in, so it's actually safe. But also, like, what are you doing?
So they've got these weird unlocks, right?
Yes.
Every time you die, you get access to the menu where you can spend your experience points. And there's about 20 to 25 different things in there. And some of them are like, you get like a Street Fighter 4 like special meter that builds up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just spend chunks of it on certain moves. And some moves take more chunks. You can earn up to 3. And so you can buy new moves for that do different things. Or you can spend it on a new type of move, a new kick attack, or a way to spin people around once you hit them, so you can orient the people in a different way. You have more control on the space, or you have to unlock the ability to kick things across the room, to throw objects without holding them first.
Sure.
those can become permanent unlocks when you buy them 5 times. And so all of a sudden I do a run and I get these moves and I think they're kind of cool, but then I die. And then I can't specifically remember. It shows you what you did do and what progress is, but it's like, oh, I didn't use that before. Maybe I should try something else. And all of a sudden I'm trying to use moves that I no longer have access to in my second run. So then I stop paying attention to what I want for this run. And I'm just like, I just want to unlock as much as I can because I feel like this is just core moveset that's locked away from me.
Right.
And I just need to get it by grinding kind of a thing. So I just start trying to buy as much as I can on this thing. And that feels flawed. That feels just busted. And also there's a thing where like the hardest to buy things, the most expensive things you can only buy when you're under a certain age. So you only get access to buy the super important combos when you've really got a handle on the game. And that seems like interesting balancing, but I just kind of feel like it's like, why isn't this just an unlock I get after beating the 3rd level?
Yeah, right, okay.
Like, why couldn't I just go do the training dummy and learn the next block of moves for the next level and then carry that forward with me?
Are you getting a lot of potential unlocks at any given moment where it's like you can sort of play to your strength, or is it just kind of
No, it's kind of slow.
Right.
It's kind of slow. So like I played about 4 or 5 hours and I permanently unlocked about 5 or 6 of the things out of about 7 and out of about 20 or 25. And the others that are there I can't use or I don't focus on them because I don't have enough of that resource. So that's one of the unlocks. You get access to that when you die or when you're at your home base between levels. The other ones, there are these idols. There are 3 of them in each level. Some of them are optional. But they give great bonuses. One of them, it adds to your like focus bar, which is that like Street Fighter attack bar I was mentioning, or it adds to your weapon durability and power, gives you more health on kill, so you can get more health regeneration. It can reset your death counter. So you know how I said when you die, you age 1 year. When you die again, you age 2 years.
Yep.
There are ways to lower how many years you age by.
Okay.
That's one of them. Those different things you can only buy once you meet certain thresholds. So if you're too old, then you lose access to some of the options. If you don't have enough experience, you don't have access to some of the options. And then there's like a score you get for every level. So like the higher your score by that totem, you get more things. The higher your experience by that level, you can spend it on the totem and as opposed to on that death menu. But those you lose all of those when you restart a run. And so the only way to get all those bonuses is to do the run the whole time. You can unlock shortcuts, but it skips most of the idols. So you don't get those power-ups, but maybe you have more age when you go through, but then you don't have the power-ups that you kind of might actually need by the time you get to level 5, and you need as much as you can get.
It's the returnal issue.
Kinda, yeah.
Jumping ahead doesn't do you any favors.
Yeah. And like, you're meant to lose it all if you restart another level from like not in the right sequence. So if you like go back a level or jump forward to something if you died and you give up. But then sometimes you just bring forward the stuff you had in the past one and it explains all of this nearly next to none at all.
Right, okay.
So it's like, oh man. So this is I feel a pretty accurate depiction of my frustration last night. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I want to get better at this game. I feel like I can. It's really technical. I'm feeling frustrated by the parries and I feel like I get comboed and it's not actually doing anything and my stance doesn't break and my stance breaks and theirs doesn't and I don't know what they want me to do and I keep dying. And so it all kind of comes to a culmination for me where Sam's gone to bed and I'm dying and I'm like, fuck. I just said out loud, I said to Sam, I was like, I don't think I like this game. It's like, oh, okay, that's weird. I'm going to bed. I'm like, okay. And I keep playing. I get to the boss of the second encounter, of the second level, 3 times. First time kills me, second time kills me. Real quick. He's a bow staff guy. Third time, I'm like, I've gone in there with the lowest age so far, so I have gotten better. I've got like 3 lives, basically, before I'm toast. And it's not going to do me any good for level 3, but let me at least get this kill under my belt, and I'll feel better about that, and I'll learn a bit more. And so I go in there and I get hit in the head. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I start doing this dodge. And I won't go into how I think the dodges are really asinine. Like, I think they're far too complex. Because the parry button, the block button is L1. And then to parry, you have to, it's a similar thing. You got to do it at the right time. You block right before they attack, and you deflect, and they take a lot of stance damage, and you can sort of counter. But if you hold L1 and press down, then you do like a dodge. And they say the tutorial is dodge high attacks and dodge low attacks by pressing down and up while holding L1.
Mm-hmm.
And so you either step backwards and move your feet to dodge a low attack, or you duck. But what it in reality is dodge high attacks is dodge 90% of all attacks is what dodge high attacks actually means.
Okay.
That means stabs, swipes, and just anything else that isn't a low sweep.
Furniture being thrown at you?
That's you kind of want to block that, but you'd probably dodge that with the L1 with the high dodge. And so I'm like, okay, so I just always high dodge. And that makes the low attacks feel really cheap because again, you don't know when they're coming. And a lot of the time they're forecast with like the opposite. So when the character gets really low, you're like, oh, they're low, they're gonna go low for me. And they do like a really sweeping high attack, so you get hit in the head and like, oh, what? So really antithetical stuff. But I start dodging this bow staff guy. I'm like, okay, I've been using the dodge more. I've been trying to be more patient, not rush in. And I start dodging. And I do that. And I'm dodging all of his attacks. I'm like, oh, great. And so I get in a few hits and he starts attacking. I dodge all of them, or I only get hit once. I get to the second phase. I'm like, crap, okay, don't fuck this up. And I start dodging them all and hitting back and I knock him down on his ass at some point and I punch him on the ground and he gets up and I dodge him some more and I only get hit once and I hit him and it's over all of a sudden and I beat the second boss and I'm like, oh, that was sick. That was great.
Is it like that moment? Is that like the
what, like, was that me like learning Souls? Is that me breaking through?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far because I feel like learning Souls is a thing that takes like a year or so at this point.
It doesn't have to, but yeah.
Yeah, it took me like 8. But like the was this a like,
does it click?
Yeah. Are you seeing the Matrix?
No.
Okay.
I'm not seeing the Matrix. I am better.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like through brute force and practice.
Right.
So I'm understanding how to use their mechanics that are very strict and to stay out of situations that would mean that I get hit 4 times in a row. It's an incredibly punishing game. And I'm playing on that standard difficulty, which is the only one it released with, and they had the other ones. Once I beat that second boss, I was like, I got to see what this easier difficulty is like. I start a new game. Let's try the easier difficulty. I don't die once in the first level. I just don't.
So
I'm like, oh, this is too easy.
Yeah.
And also, I've probably just learned to be better through, because like I have gotten better. You could see the progress.
Sure.
And so it's like, fuck, I just don't know how to feel about this game. It's pulling me in 2 separate directions at once. I am keen to try more and to see if I can learn more and get better, but the perfectionism it demands and the way it does that and the imperfect ways that you can interact with the enemies, it's a little grating. It's a little at odds with itself.
Is it fun?
Yes.
Okay.
When it works, it's so slick. The animations are awesome. And I feel like the punches are really good because like they're being blocked a lot of the time. So it's not like each punch is like a roundhouse, like humdinger, but it feels like a lot of swift strikes. Each one's got a good punch, a good solid impact. And each foe could take a few of those. And then you break their stance and you could do like a Spider-Man or an Arkham finisher. And sometimes it's context dependent and they get slammed into the wall or they get knocked over the table.
Did you ever play Sleeping Dogs?
No, not really.
Okay. They do that a lot in that game and it's fucking dope. That game is sick.
Yeah. Yeah. It does feel good when it feels good. It's just then I go into a room where it's like, I know it's in here and I get fucking bodied and I for no reason, seemingly. Or maybe it's on me, right? Maybe it's my fault. But like other times I'm fighting like there are like really hard enemies sometimes, and I'm like, I don't know what your weakness is. I don't know what I'm meant to do with you here. And I'm trying to dodge you and it's not working. I'm trying to block you and you fuck me up. You know how I described those dodges with holding L1? There's also like the run button. If you press it, you do a dodge.
Right.
But it's like different to the other dodges. And so I'm like, I think the dodging's far too complex. So yeah, it's a complex relationship with this game. I feel it's a complex situation.
Are you pulled to go back to it?
I am. I want to play more tonight. I want to see how much further I can get. I want to see how much lower I can beat that second level and see how much I want to try and make progress.
Did Sifu come to PC?
Sifu's on PC. Yeah, I think it launched on Epic.
That's right. Yeah, because I was trying to remember when, and now I remember because someone modded that game to make you Daredevil from the Netflix show.
Yeah, no, that was instant. It launched on PC.
Right.
Yeah,
okay. All right.
Which is cool because there's like an old boy corridor style fight.
Yeah.
Just once, which is cool. That's fun. And they do some awesome things with like lighting that like vibrates nice in the DualSense, and like it's cool. But man, the fundamentals of the mechanics, they're pulling me every which way. They're making me hate it, and they're making me like they're giving me that moment, that breakthrough moment.
Yeah, right.
It's weird time.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah. And it bears mentioning as well. You and I mentioned this, Jeremy, a couple of days ago when I mentioned playing it. But there is a critique that was leveled against this game that I'm going to bring up when I find my tab. I was looking at it earlier today. Here it is.
Oh, like the appropriation one.
So yeah, it's made by Slowclap. Slowclap is a European studio. And so this game was made by people who aren't at all from Asia, let alone China. And their culture consultant is someone who has learned Kung Fu and is the motion cap artist for the game, motion cap performer, but is also like white. And so yeah, there was an article from Ki Hoon Chan that came out near the release in January 19th, on The Gamer. And it's a good read, just talking about how it's a shame that not even anyone from the region was a part of the game or part of the lead development team.
Yeah, like there was that, and there was the press kit they sent out, which was just like, remember this? It was just like generic Chinese like.
Oh, was it?
Like just things, it was like, a coin and like those about like it. People can look it up.
Yeah, that's not good.
It was just like this doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the person writing this article says that it seems like, here's the line. So this is a quote. And to be fair, there isn't anything particularly egregious about Sifu so far. I've seen the trailers, watched several gameplay videos, and discovered, to my huge relief, that there has been no misspelled Chinese words and zero philosophizing on the concept of honor, be it by the protagonist himself or the game makers. But it's still a pity that none of the studio leads, even the consultant they hired, are Chinese or Asian, particularly for a game that features a Chinese protagonist along with an entirely Chinese cast of characters and punchable mobsters. So yeah, I highly encourage you to give it a read. Don't read any comments associated with it. They're not fun. But it's worth mentioning, and it's the kind of thing. I'm glad I bought it on sale for like 40, and I don't think it doesn't really overcome those issues. Like, it's good that they're not being like outright offensive, but it's just kind of the way it was processed and handled was clearly insensitive in and of itself, and not really the way we want people to be doing things. So yeah, a really strange experience I have with that game just in 12 hours yesterday.
Yeah, right.
Do we want to talk about Fortnite?